What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Another comparison, and this is one I really didn't even understand why I didn't even do earlier. I researched and I figured a lot of people actually are interested in this comparison, so I figured I might as well supply it to you guys. So I'm going to be comparing the newly released iPhone 11 to the older iPhone XS Max. Now iPhone XS Max is not an old phone at all. Every time I pick it up, it's like a freaking amazing machine. You can do so much with it, and I literally love the XS Max so much. It's one of my favorite phones, and after I bought a XS Max just for the channel purposes to mess with and do speed comparisons and stuff, I realized how much I love bigger phones. And once the 11 Pro Max came out, I wanted to kind of switch to it, and I like the bigger size now, which is so funny because I liked the smaller size before, but the XS Max really changed my idea and changed my design and my headspace about bigger phones. I used to have Plus versions, then I eventually switched back to the iPhone 10 and smaller phones, and the XS Max is up there, but the iPhone 11 is also a bigger phone as well. So in reality, when you go to the Apple store or whatever and you look at an iPhone 11 versus a Pro Max or something, that size is the same thing as a XS Max. So don't necessarily feel like you have to go get that biggest size if you don't want to, or spend that $1,100 on it. You can get a XS Max for fairly cheap now, and I'll talk about the pricing a little bit later. But looking on the front, the iPhone 11 has a 6.1 inch liquid retina IPS panel. That one is 828 by 1792, and it's a pretty good panel overall. I remember when the 10R came out, I really didn't like it on paper, on specs. Specs are one thing, but real world use is another, and I would say my iPhone 11 display is even better than like my iPhone 8 Plus display, or at least my iPhone 7 Plus display, and that one is 1080p. So the iPhone 11 has a pretty good panel at the end of the day. It still has that notch, it still has everything, but it's not a bad panel at all. It's actually pretty good for an 828 IPS panel. Now the iPhone XS Max has a 6.5 inch 1242 by 2688 Super Retina OLED display, and without a doubt, I'll probably be honest, the XS Max has the way better display. You have True Tone in both displays. The iPhone XS Max having that OLED display gives it such a huge advantage. On top of that, the notch is still there and everything, but the iPhone XS Max has Force Touch or 3D Touch, whatever you want to call it. The iPhone 11 does not have anything like that, and after using an 11 Pro for a couple months now since it came out, I really do kind of miss Force Touch. I feel like it was just an instantaneous thing. It felt like you had more layers into the phone in a way, if that makes any sense. The iPhone 11 does not have that capability. It's not a deal breaker, it's not a crazy thing, but that is something I wanted to note in this comparison. The iPhone XS Max, in a way, definitely does still feel like a super premium phone, and it feels more premium in a lot of ways than the iPhone 11. The chassis of the phone feels better. The heft, there's some really nice heft to it, and I wouldn't necessarily not pick up an iPhone 11 because it doesn't feel premium. I mean, the iPhone 11 feels very, very premium as well, but the XS Max I think feels a little bit better. Looking on the back, dual camera setups on both, but they're kind of opposites. The iPhone XS Max has a telephoto lens, the iPhone 11 has an ultra-wide sensor, and between they both are very good sensors. I'll get into them in a second. Glass on the back of both of them, and wireless charging on both as well, and that's really pretty much it on the outside. Not craziness going on. Both phones have very cool things, but like I said, the XS Max does feel more premium and also has the better screen than the iPhone 11. Talking about software for a second, the iPhone XS Max came out with iOS 12, the iPhone 11 came out with iOS 13, and as you know, Apple's support is awesome. There's no one else really like it. Between software support and everything, the iPhone XS Max will definitely, probably not outlast the iPhone 11. The iPhone 11 will, in my opinion, it probably will outlast the iPhone XS Max at least one version of iOS, and I feel like the iPhone 10 will get an extended version of iOS, and because of that, I don't think the iPhone XS Maxes and the XS are going to. They started at the exact same time, the iOS 12, iOS 13, so they didn't get like iOS 12.1, and the iPhone 11 didn't get iOS 13.1, so at least when they started off with 12.0 and 13.0, so that makes me think the XS Max is probably going to last 1 year less than the iPhone 11, but with that being said, that's still a very long time from now. The XS Max is not getting unsupported anytime soon, and I could potentially be wrong. Maybe Apple will go and support the XS Max even further, but they could do the same as I think for the iPhone 11 as well. But regardless, the iPhone 11 will probably outlast the iPhone XS Max in my opinion. Now hitting on the performance, I'll tell you the specs. I did a speed comparison so you guys can check that out. The iPhone XS Max has the Apple A12 Bionic chip, a hexa-core CPU with 4GB of RAM. The iPhone 11 has the Apple A13 Bionic chip, a hexa-core CPU, and 4GB of RAM as well. So let's go and see which one is the faster phone between those. Alright everyone, welcome to the speed comparison. We're going to be doing the same apps, all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and do Quizlet. 3, 2, 1. The iPhone XS Max is to the left, the iPhone 11 is to the right. And as you guys saw, the iPhone XS Max actually got into that one faster. Let's do Netflix. 3, 2, 1. And I think the 11 was just like a little bit ahead, not by much, but just a little bit ahead. Snake versus blocks, 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 11 just a little bit ahead this time as well. It was actually pretty close, I'm not gonna lie, but as you can see, gameplay is about the same. It's not gonna be too big of a difference. Thank you. 3, 2, 1. And again, the iPhone 11 is just slightly ahead of the iPhone XS Max, and I feel like this is how the whole entire comparison is going to go. The iPhone XS Max will just be a little bit behind of the iPhone 11 every time. Stack. 3, 2, 1. And the same case again, as expected. And like I said, I think this is going to be the way it's going to go. Fruit Ninja, 3, 2, 1. With these bigger games, you kind of get to see a little bit more what's going on. And that was like almost the exact same time. There was very, very little difference between those. Facebook, 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 11, just a little bit ahead of the iPhone XS Max again. 3, 2, 1. And actually, the iPhone XS Max was faster there. Alright, it's kind of interesting. Instagram, 3, 2, 1. They're both loaded. Obviously, this one is an account, this one's not, but I think the iPhone 11 still loaded up faster. Paper Out 2, 3, 2, 1. And I think the iPhone 11 was faster. I do apologize, I was scratching my eyes. Let's go and get into some gameplay. And this game is very glitchy on really any phone that I play with. So let's see if I can restart. And as you guys can see, I mean, it's like the same exact gameplay pretty much. I think the 10, no, it's about the same. Snapchat, 3, 2, 1. And again, iPhone 11, a little bit ahead. Temple Run, 3, 2, 1. And even just to get into that specific game logo, it was actually faster on the iPhone 11. Now let's get into the main menu at the same time. 3, 2, 1. I think the iPhone 11 is a little bit ahead, but again, not too much of a difference here. Pretty much the same exact gameplay, same exact comparison. This is a very, very minor game, as I said before. Dropbox, 3, 2, 1. And iPhone 11 again was faster. Bofa, 3, 2, 1. And again, iPhone 11 is faster than the iPhone XS Max. Alright. Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And we have to download content on this every single time. I don't understand why the game just doesn't play out right. And you can see the iPhone 11 is noticeably faster than the iPhone XS Max. It was, just a little bit ahead. And like I've said before, I think this is how the whole entire comparison has went. The iPhone XS Max was just a little bit behind of the iPhone 11. Let's go and end it off with the Real Racing 3, 3, 2, 1. Hopefully I don't have to download any content on here or download any things because I've already downloaded on here 50 times. And you can see the 11 is already a little bit ahead of the iPhone XS Max. And you can see the iPhone 11 loaded into the game a little bit faster than the iPhone XS Max. And what I can pretty much tell you from this comparison is that yes, the iPhone 11 more times than not is faster than the iPhone XS Max, but it's not like crazy amounts faster. It's slightly faster. I wouldn't necessarily go from a XS Max to an iPhone 11, and I wouldn't necessarily go from an iPhone 11 to a XS Max. Like, both very great phones. I would probably pick up a XS Max over an iPhone 11, but the speed is very, very close. It's not like one overkills the other. Sometimes the XS Max was faster too, so that pretty much covers it. Let's get back to the rest comparison. Now that we're back, let's go and talk about the cameras. So like I said, both cameras do have dual cameras on both these phones. Two 12 megapixel sensors on both of these phones as well, a telephoto lens on the XS Max, and ultra wide sensor on the iPhone 11. And between the both, man, again, I think quality is very, very great on both phones. Both phones have very good camera sensors. I really haven't found anything to me, to lead otherwise. Both can shoot 4K 60 frames per second, and both cameras are very good. The only problem I have is the camera UI, and that hasn't been fixed since, the inception of iOS. So hopefully Apple can go ahead and fix that, and they would be alleviating one of the biggest problems with iOS. As you can see, the 11 photo, it looks very good. I have no problems with it at all. But the XS Max is more of the same. I feel like it's very good. Both cameras are good. If you're in great lighting, if you're in bad lighting, whatever, both cameras will be great. And I'll go ahead and drop a camera comparison between both of them soon. I already did an iPhone 11 versus iPhone XS, but I'll do the same thing for the XS Max very soon as well. The front camera, iPhone 11 has a 12 megapixel sensor. The iPhone XS Max has a 7 megapixel sensor. And the biggest difference between both of them, you can do 4K at 60 frames per second on the front camera of the iPhone 11, where you can only do 1080p at 60 frames on the front camera of the XS Max. So without a doubt, the XS Max has a very great camera, but the iPhone 11 is definitely better. And ending it off with battery life, the iPhone 11 has a 3110 mAh battery. The iPhone XS Max has a 3174 mAh battery, and between the both, even though the XS Max kind of has a bigger battery between the two, the iPhone 11 does win in the battery department for a main reason: the screen. The screen is a lower resolution and it's like lower pixels, and there's less pixels to push overall, and the screen is one of the biggest things that take the most battery. So without a doubt, not only does it have a lower display but a lower resolution display. So because of that, the iPhone 11 definitely wins in the battery department. So I guess you get something good for having, a low resolution display. And it kind of sum up this whole entire comparison, dude. Without a doubt, the iPhone 11 is a tremendous phone, but the iPhone XS Max is still a tremendous phone as well. There's really not one that screams to me that it's a better phone. If anything, you can pick up a XS Max for cheaper than in the used market than an iPhone 11. So if you can probably pick up a XS Max for like less than $600, for a base model. The iPhone 11 is selling for $699 for the base model. So if it was between both of them, I would personally probably pick up a XS Max. That phone feels way more premium. That size is really good. I like that bigger display. It's an OLED display, and you're not missing out on too much. You guys saw the speed comparison. They're almost the same as XP. So without a doubt, I would probably pick up a XS Max over an iPhone 11. But if you can get an iPhone 11 for a good deal, then it's really not one. It's not one is way better than the other. So that pretty much covers it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit that like button. That would mean so much. But definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count. So it would mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate it if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.